Thank you and good morning. Yes, happy Mother's Day to all. Mother's Day. Be aware anger has destroyed many homes. Oh, what a interested and a very true model title of our lesson today. Anger. Anger is an emotion that we all have, and but when it is exhibited to an extreme nature, it is a difficult emotion to get past. It is our go-to emotion, and it's easy to stay in that emotion. And it's letting us know that anger has destroyed many homes on Mother's Day because mothers take particular care of our homes, and we want them to be a happy home. However, when the anger comes in, letting us know, please don't allow that anger to destroy what we're building. Proverbs 25:4, it is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house. On the housetop, in the corner of it. Oh, how sad that is to hear that line. Because once again, we work so hard and so diligently on trying to make our homes comfortable and clean, and you work so hard on trying to provide a nice home for your family. But then if you have that attitude of brawling, of arguing, of anger, you're destroying the very essence of what you're attempting to build. And the Bible says it's better for someone to be on the top of your home in the corner than in the home with a woman who is brawling. Our entire lesson, James 3:1 through 18, is the warnings and words to teachers. Okay, the demonstration of a living faith and controlling what we say. 1 through 2 is, uh, my brethren, let not many of you become teachers, knowing that we shall receive a stricter judgment. For we all stumble in many things. If anyone does not stumble in word, he is a perfect man, able also to bridle the whole body. This is a warning that James put out, since at this time everyone were seeking, everyone desired to be teachers. But the words of Jesus and James remind us that being among the teachers in God's church is more than a matter of having natural or even spiritual gifts. There is an additional dimension of appropriate character and right living. There is a call upon the teacher's life to not only know the word or know what they're teaching, but you're accountable for what you're teaching. You're accountable for your mannerisms, because we teach not only in speech, we teach in attitude, we teach in mannerism, we teach in our chasement. Okay? So, and then he goes, James found that this department of church work had become extremely popular. Hence his warning about his serious responsibilities. God will judge us on the last day with special strictness on account of our influence over others. Teachers have an influence. Teachers have a calling. Teachers must walk according to that calling. He said special strictness. There is a special judgment upon teachers. Therefore, teachers, we were both tested more and will be judged more strictly. Says their case is awful. They shall receive greater condemnation than common sinners. They have not only sinned in thrusting themselves into the office to which God has never called them, but through their insufficiency, the flocks over whom they have assumed the mastery perish for lack of knowledge. And their blood will God require at the watchman's hands. Meaning that if we're pursuing diligently the line of teacher just for showmanship, just for self gratification, just to impose a negative view onto others or impose our own viewpoint onto others and not the Word of God, there's a special strictness, there's a special judgment on that type of behavior. And blood is required upon the hands. For we all stumble in many things. The greater accountability of teachers is especially sobering in the light of our common weaknesses. After all, we all stumble. The ancient Greek word translated stumble does not imply a fatal fall, but sometimes that trips us up and hinders our spiritual progress. James included himself among those who stumble, yet he did not excuse his or our stumbling. We know that we stumble, but we should all press on to better walk with the Lord, marked by less stumbling, meaning that we must not continue to behave in a way that is not correct. When it's brought to our attention or when we're able to see that, oh, what I did was wrong, let's correct that. Let's correct our stumblings because our stumbling should be less and less each day. There are, and to help us along with this, there are several statements in the Bible which tell us that all men sin. Okay, First Kings 8:46 says it. Job 14:4, Proverbs 29, Ecclesiastes 7:20, and First John 1:8 and 10. Okay, it says if anyone does not stumble in word, he is a perfect man. James provided a way to measure spiritual maturity for teachers and for all Christians. Jesus demonstrated in Matthew 12:34 through 37 that words are the revelation of the inner character. Do not stumble in word shows true spiritual maturity. This is especially relevant to teachers who have so much more opportunity to sin with their tongues. When we control our tongue, he says, that shows that we have spiritual maturity. Okay, to not stumble means like when things come up and we select not to brawl or to say things negative about things. Learning how to control the tongue, it doesn't come from a natural sense. It's a spiritual sense. We must depend on God to control our tongues. We stumble in word about ourselves with our boasting, exaggeration, and selective reporting. Because we stumble in word about others with our criticism, with our gossip, our slander, our cruelty, two-facedness, and, of course, anger, or with flattering and insecure words meant to gain favor. People who have the ability to teach also have the ability to manipulate. We can manipulate minds. We can make a difference in people's lives. So he says to us, be careful with that gift. Be careful with what we give. Make sure that what we're feeding, what we're putting out there, is not for the things like this, for boasting. Make sure that we're not gossiping or we're being cruel to others. Okay? Our job is not to criticize because there is power. There is power in the tongue. We put bits in horses' mouths that they may obey us. A small bit in the mouth controls a strong horse. A small rudder turns a large ship. Even so, if we have control over our tongue, it is an indication that we have control over ourselves. Whoever controls the tongue can bridle the whole body. That small, the flesh, can control our whole bodies. What we do, how we react, our influence on others, our influence on our power to minister to others. The bit, the rudder, they're strong, but they're small, but they're extremely important. Okay, that small thing controls a horse. That small thing can control a big old ship. Same thing. The tongue, it can do either evil or it can do good. And it can be just as powerful for good as it is for evil. So if that tongue is like the bit of a horse or the rudder of a ship, it leaves us with the question, who or what holds the reins? Or who or what directs the rudder? Some people have no hand on the reins or rudder, and therefore they say whatever comes into mind. Others direct their tongue from their emotions or from aspects of the carnal nature, which I know for one thing that is a difficult task to overcome, overcoming emotions or things of the carnal nature, when things upset us, when people in the world upset us, when things don't go our way. Controlling the tongue in all circumstances. And so James points us towards having the Spirit of God working through the new man, that directing others' hands on the reins and rudders, that is our tongue. Why is that? Why does he say that so much? Because he also lets us know we don't have any power over this tongue. If we had power, then we wouldn't have dedicated so much of the word to it. That power comes from above. So how? Great. It's those little things that we say. It's those little things. The fire of the tongue has been used to burn many. Children are told, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. But when we think about it, when people say mean things to us, it hurts. It hurts. And what we say have a long-lasting effect on others. Okay, we probably won't ever remember a compliment that we had when we were younger. We definitely can remember when somebody said something cruel or mean to us. The good things could outfar the bad things, but we can always remember that bully. We can always remember how that person made us feel about ourselves. So let us not be so loose with our words and our criticisms and our tongue because it hurts. In the two familiar illustrations, animals and ships are controlled by small bits. In this last illustration, a huge forest is destroyed by a tiny spark. The little things. A tiny spark can make a big old forest fire. The tongue, likewise, can either destroy or control. And then the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. There aren't many sins that don't involve talking in some way. It is though all wickedness in the world were wrapped up in that little piece of flesh. Everything starts with talking. Sometimes some sins start with reasoning in our mind, but putting it out into the atmosphere. This is what we speak, what we're saying. Anxiety of the heart of man causes depression, but a good word makes it glad. Proverbs 12:25. Pleasant words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the bones. Proverbs 16:24. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Proverbs 18:21. There's great difficulty in taming this tongue, because no man can tame the tongue. Nevertheless, the tongue can be brought under the power and the control of the Holy Spirit. We might say that we say only God himself is mightier than the human tongue. The poison of the tongue is no less deadly. It murders men's reputations by the slanders it utters, their souls by the lust and passions it stirs up in them, and many times their bodies too, by the contentions and quarrels it raises against men. When someone is falsely accused of something, we can go back and say, oh, that's not true. But very far people are going to remember that wasn't true. We're going to remember that accusation. Okay? We remember what that person was accused of. So that's why we need to be so careful when saying things against people's reputation. A restaurant owner once said that one person could say something. You could have a bad night, and 9 people will hear about that fault in that restaurant. You could have 200 good nights, but only one person will speak of it. People gravitate towards bad. People's ears are pricked by negative. So let's not involve ourselves with being in that way. A woman once came to John Wesley and said she knew what her talent was. And she said, I think my talent from God is to speak my mind. Wesley replied, I don't think God would mind if you buried that talent. Speaking forth everything that comes to our mind is unwise and is called poisonous speech. With it, we bless our God and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in the similitude of God. Out of the same mouth proceeded blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not to be so. Does a spring send forth fresh water and bitter from the same opening? Can a fig tree, my brethren, bear olives, or a grapevine bear figs? Thus no spring yields both salt water and fresh. Not serve 2 masters. We cannot praise our God with our tongues and in the next minute curse our brother. Peter's tongue confessed Jesus as the Messiah, the Son of living God, and denied Jesus with curses. John said, little children, love one another, and he wanted to say the word to bring down fire from heaven upon a Samaritan village. We can't be wishy-washy in our ways. We can't be both ways. You have to be sweet all the time, praising God all the time, and that's that. Because just like a fig tree can't bear olives, we don't care how many times we call a fig tree an olive tree, it's not going to bear olives. Okay? It's only going to bring forth what it's supposed to bring forth. Unless you are regenerated, born from above by a new and heavenly birth, you are not a Christian. Whether you may be called and you cannot produce the fruit which is acceptable to God any more than a fig tree can produce olive berries. You can like I said, you can label the fig tree olive tree, but that won't make it an olive tree. You can trim a fig tree to look like an olive tree, and it will not make it an olive tree. You can treat a fig tree like an olive tree. That will not make it an olive tree. You can surround a fig tree with many olive trees. That will not make it an olive tree. You can transplant the fig tree to the mountain of olives, and it will not make it an olive tree. We can say that we are anything that we want to say we are. But the proof of who we are is is our being, what we say, what we do. Okay, we could say we're a Christian up and down all day, but if people are watching us saying mean and malicious things to others and praising God on Sunday and reading the Bible on Wednesday and tarrying on Friday, but at that same token, out saying just the nastiest things to people in the world, doesn't matter. We're not a Christian. Doesn't care how many times we're trimmed, what we say is all about how our speech is about that power of that tongue. The demonstration of living faith in the presence of wisdom. Wisdom shows us how to do good works. Wisdom. And he says, who is wise and understanding among you? At the beginning of James 3, the author addressed those who were teachers or wanted to be teachers among Christians. There he told such teachers how they should talk. Here he speaks about how they should live. James addresses the person who is wise and understanding. It appears that the author is still speaking to those who would be teachers. Here it is. Who is wise? Let him show by good conduct. Wisdom is not mere head knowledge. Real wisdom and understanding will show in our lives. By what? By our good conduct. In this sense, wisdom and understanding are like faith. They are invisible inner qualities. If a person considers himself to be wise or understanding, it is fair to expect that this invisible and inner quality will show itself in regular life. Here James told us how to judge if a person is really wise and understanding. His works are done in the meekness of wisdom. True wisdom is also evident by its meek manner. Those who do their good works in a way designed to bring attention to themselves show they lack true wisdom. Not about you, not about me. It's all about God. It says, do not boast and lie against the truth. Anyone who shows bitter envy and self-seeking should not deceive anyone, especially themselves, about how wise they are. They show a wisdom that is earthly, sensual, and demonic. Their wisdom is more characteristic of the world, the flesh, and the devil than of God. We must be of a heavenly character, but the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. Now the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace, but by those who make peace. I'm going to go ahead through our explanation today. Making a mountain out of a molehill is a phrase used to describe those who are prone to over-exaggerate any minute difference. Too often one is speaking while the other is thinking of a rebuttal that is not almost related to what is spoken. There are two heated conversations that are complete opposite. Neither one is listening to the other, and anger is building into resentment. Yes, anger destroys many relationships, fellowships, creates civil rivalry, and the home life in families. Destructive anger is not measured out to this generation. Deceit in the home began when Satan, the old serpent, approached Eve, the mother of all living. As is true to nature. May the Lord have a blessing to the hearer and doer of his word. Service is now returned into the hands of our